Thank you. Thanks for everyone for being here today. And this is yet another AI talk, but it's going to be a bit different from what we have seen yesterday, because if yesterday the talks were quite sometimes technical, also very pragmatic, I'd say, I really want to be a bit more provocative and make you reflect about things. And also I'm going to ask some open questions to which I don't have yet the answers, because I think those are nice questions to reflect upon as a community and to think about how we're going to go with the AI in the future. Oh, sorry, I need to understand the clicker work. I already did something wrong. Wait, just a second. Okay, they promised me the clicker will work, but okay. There was a little slide with Oblo and hello from Oblo with a lot of people in the picture. So we are a design studio based in Milan. We are quite small, we're 11 people, and we do some service design principally and innovation consultancy, applying the service design methods to other aspects of design and development. Sorry, something happened here. Waiting for the slides. Everyone had a good lunch, enjoyed the food. Okay, we're back. So, okay, slides are skipping, but that's okay. So at Oblo, we were quite lucky to do some service design and experience design for the AI projects. And one of them, especially this one, was very challenging and fascinating for us. We've been working for 1 year with this technological client who was looking at the design of the future AI-based phone, and it was in 2019, and we were designed for 5 years horizon. So these 5 years are passing just now, and I'm gonna share with you some findings that are applicable nowadays. So catalyst for change, of course, it is interesting that when we did this work and started to share our ideas in like 2020, of course, no one cared about it. People were in the COVID era. Finally, now, with this spike of ChatGPT, all the generative AI, we are finally seeing how it can work. And as Mauro was saying yesterday, even those are more like capability shows and not like real products yet. We are still understanding what is the possibilities in the future, and let's dive in that more. So we can see in the past existing services, and I see here I wanted to bring like example of simple context, like for example grocery shopping or like food related services. We have already seen that not even AI but like algorithms started to eliminate some interactions. For example, automation of the simple subscription services where you would just put something and put it like repeat every month or some time. And this is presenting some challenge, some opportunity, because for the service it's good, people will be returning. Some challenge because maybe they will not be like finding some additional products to add in the basket and not buying some additional stuff. So it's a bit of change in the journey. Then we have seen the elimination of the physical interaction, so Amazon Go, for example. And this is very interesting because it presents a huge impact on the user journey. So as we, in the normal grocery shop, in the supermarket, we're used to check out in the end. And so to have this interaction with the people in the end. In case of Amazon Go, we're like set to do this in the beginning. So you have to set up your account and all the, like you have to go on and like check in the beginning. So again, changing the user journey and how we live this experience. Then we can see that also some digital touchpoints can be eliminated. So when we use the assistants like Alexa, for example, it's a challenge for the brands to diversify in these channels, because if I call a ride through Alexa, how will I really understand the difference between, for example, Uber or Lyft? So the values of the service should be narrated in some different ways. And eventually, we're coming also to the possibility to really minimize the interfaces as they are coming closer to our bodies with the wearables. And so in this way, even they get always more data from us. And of course, can start also to become a bit more proactive when they detect some issues that are happening. And, one big provocation that I want to make is that eventually we can see it as AI is going to eliminate some services, or let's say more specifically, it's going to eliminate some elements of the user experience in the service because the delivery will stay there, but some parts are going to be automated, or we can say the user will be substituted. And this is, for example, a long time ago presentation of Google Duplex when they were showing off the first possibility of this voice interaction with the AI agent calling for a person to book, for example, a haircut. But this is not going to be done easily because in many services, like think of food delivery, we still have physical elements. And to these physical services, this paradox is applicable because there's this thing called Moravec's paradox, which is stating that it's easier, and it is still so, it was declared like in the 80s, but it's still so. It's easier for an AI to show off some intelligence level of an adult in some intelligent things like playing chess or writing some text like ChatGPT does, than the simple motor skills of a child. And now, even if now some robots can do that, normally it's in controlled environments and still difficult. And it's based on the simple thing that we as humans started to develop the motor skills from the very, very beginning of evolution with all the animals and other organisms. But then we added some social skills and then eventually cognitive. And when we understood that we are not yet completely capable with them, we started to develop machines to help us calculating and do different things. And those machines are passing like a different evolutionary history. So this is presenting a lot of challenges to us because the service delivery is probably not going to be happening like this with the robots going around and doing things for us, but more like this. Because every time I use this smart fridge metaphor in the beginning, when I say that service is going to be eliminated, I was wondering, okay, but how do you do the last mile? Like, okay, maybe the person is ordering, like the fridge is ordering things for you and things are getting to your door, but like, how do they get to the fridge? And this year I found that Walmart is actually doing that. So this is called in-fridge delivery. There's a person coming in your home with the camera to see that they're really going only to your fridge and they're delivering the things there. So we're living in this weird situation, I'd say. We're passing from this servitization, all these global service platforms, which are using a lot of algorithms, a lot of machine power inside them, to the automation of consumption, so that people are going to be not always participating in these experiences without full automation of production, because these robots, this full automation is not going to come soon. So first question to reflect upon, which is, I think, is an interesting topic to think as a community of service designers, is exactly this one. What will it mean to design a service with very limited human user experience? So how will services like, for example, Amazon Go or others, where the services parts are automated and some agents are working upon our behalf, how will we designing these experiences? And this is not even a faraway future, because in many digital contexts it's already happening. For example, with services like Tinder, since a long time people tried to automate their interactions, and you would think this is like the very emotional part, right? Like you have to invest in it as a human with the communication. But people managed to write the bots in Python, which apparently are doing job for them in Tinder. And this way, basically, you're already seeing this example that service is used not by human, but by bot on their behalf. And on the other side, as well as service designers, not just user experience designers, it's also important for us to understand what is going to be the worker's experience, of course, and how it will all be put in together with the machine and human. Because nowadays we're seeing that a lot of those large service platforms are creating these alienating experiences for people. For example, this film called Riders Not Heroes, produced in Milan during COVID to represent the life of the food delivery riders. And you can see like there is a really moment when the algorithm is guiding them around the city for the optimal route. And we can still apply these German philosopher's words today, even if he was saying that 150 years about the machines, which are very mechanical. Today, with the digital parts, with the AI, we're still seeing the same situation, that basically the machine is defining the movement of humans and not the opposite in many cases. But it's not just about automation, of course. We have heard also about augmentation yesterday a lot. And of course, again, AI can augment a lot. So for example, building the profiles of flavors with Watson, or as Mauro was saying yesterday, also predicting a lot of the user needs. So this is a quote from John Maeda's book, How to Speak Machine, where he talks about this Japanese concept of hospitality, which is more than just making someone feel at home, but really anticipating the needs and outdoing their expectations. And that's exactly what Mauro was saying yesterday about how AI is going to standardize that, because before this was based only on like service provider knowing personally the human on the part, like their customer. But nowadays, we can have machines which can predict your preferences from all the other services that you're using, or if the service is global, it's going to be applicable in the different parts of it. And eventually, of course, also AI can be service. So we see now for example, this is food AI, which helps you to cook. ChatGPT is an example of AI as a service, and there are many more, some of which are quite tricky. For example, this is a case of replica. If someone didn't follow the history, it's very interesting because it started as a service to replicate. That's why it's called replica, to replicate yourself. The idea was that you would be talking to it and it would be knowing you, and then eventually some other people would be able to talk to it as if it were you. Then it got a different twist, so it became like a bot to improve social skills. So you just chat with it if you don't have many friends or you want to improve the way you communicate. And then at a certain point, they added also this premium part where you could also sext with your replica. So it became like really 18+. And after a while, they understood maybe that was an error, and they took it away. And the users got completely crazy because they were saying, I had this intimate relationship with this bot. And it became a real huge problem. So I think it's an interesting case to look at, to understand how we're not yet fully aware of how we interact with the machines, which can represent these human expressions, and how we really project a lot on them. Which brings us to the question, what kind of cohabitation will we design between humans and machines together? The good point here is that service design can be key here because, for example, this is a quote from Garry Kasparov, the famous chess player who got the first to be beaten by this Deep Blue machine. And so to respond to it, he actually started to do this that he calls Centauri chess. So it's the chess that you play together with the computer. And from many, many years of history of this chess, he drew this conclusion that actually weak human plus machine plus good process is better than strong computer, or even superior to strong human plus machine and inferior process. So it's all about the process. It's really how we put together the machine and human working together, and that's what we do as service designers. So there's going to be a lot for us to do. And here to think of how to design with AI, I want to walk you through like 4 groups of things. So starting what AI can do for humans. For a long time, we're thinking that we need to be compatible. So AI is doing things good, like mechanical stuff. Humans do some other intelligent stuff, and let's compensate. But we see that more and more this is not really applicable because AI is getting better in the intellectual tasks, and maybe those are not the ones that we really want to give up. So beyond this, let's say, matrix of like going from automation to augmentation, we need to add some dimension to it. So in our work, we actually try to add the mapping from this Maslow's pyramid of needs, which is very criticized. But I think it's a good mapping in general of the like going from the physiological to self-actualization needs, and to understanding that Some of them we might be okay to delegate, but some of them we want to do ourselves and in the best case get help from the machine. So this was the mapping that we did, putting together all those elements, so from going from automation to augmentation, and put it in together with this spectrum of needs from the basic to the cognitive. And so here's like the range of different things that AI can do, from keeping users safe to taking care of their agenda and routines, facilitating communication, personalizing content, and helping to express their creativity even better than they could do on their own, as also yesterday we saw in the talks. And underneath, there are like little use cases which are pretty much covering different variety of things that you can do with AI. Sorry, the second question is how AI can appear to humans. So we're used to this representation of cyborgs, to the chatbots. We're less used to the fact that AI is everywhere. So that already in our cameras we have it in the different services which are like really using it in the background, even to just type and use different elements of interface. So to navigate this one, to add another axis, I was thinking, first we were talking about like tool and entity, but then we added also this idea of presence, so that AI can actually be there with almost invisible for us. Then there are cases when we use it as a tool, knowing that we're really doing something with it, and eventually that it becomes entity which we perceive as an actor, which is apart from us. And things are getting tricky. Of course, it's not like the it's not easy to separate. So when you ask the current models, what do they see themselves as? So ChatGPT-3 is very easy, like tool, not an entity. Bing says it's a tool, but then that it enjoys to communicate with you. So it has some kind of idea of emotion, which can be tricky for a tool. And Bard first tells that it's a both tool and an entity, and then decides that it's more of an entity because it actually can communicate, interact, and develop. So that's a really tricky situation because we are designing these tools with the interface which is very human, so the interface of language. And we don't yet have even the proper ways to address them, so no pronouns for addressing this kind of entity tool, which is not human, which is not alive, but we need somehow to talk to it. And eventually we can put those two things together and start to map different services around. So some of them, like from spam filters, which have very basic presence and automation, to the noise canceling features, which are also there, and they're augmenting our experience because we cannot do that by ourselves, to the entities appearing like entities, chatbots that help us, to apparently not existing yet part of entity and augmentation, where I put Jarvis from the Iron Man, which I think is the representation of it, which we're still missing in real life. But that's not it. We also have multiple possibilities of how to design these tools, entities, or whatever they are doing. Because often we think about AIs in a very strict models of chatbots and stuff, but there are different possibilities for them. So we have put together this list of the different indicators, like sliders, how to adjust your AIs, which is completely not final, and there are multiple possibilities, but I think it can help us reflect on the different options. So, for example, we can think of AI starting from being short-term or long-term. Not all the services need a long-term engagement, let's say. So if you're talking about healthcare or some financial things, of course, long-term is very beneficial, but some things can be funnier, something you use just sometimes, and it's okay also to have it short-term. For example, you're learning language for a while, and you're not going to do it for 10 years. Then we can think about multiple or one. So nowadays we have a lot of AIs, different tools that we're using in different contexts by different service providers. It might happen that we would have one integrating platform. For example, in your phone, you would have the main chatbot, which is helping you to navigate different things, something that ChatGPT is trying to do with the different plugins. It is not given that it should be so, because we can see like Meta AI on the contrary is trying to do like different personalities, and it might be really helpful. You might have like a coach which is, I don't know, for your fitness, which is a bit stricter, then another one which helps you with relationship, which is nicer, and so on. So you can still have really different possibilities there. Then once we think about possibility to train your AIs and to make them more suitable for yourself, the question is like, are they gonna be exclusive, or we're also gonna create some possibility to share them? For example, not a very happy user of an AI in the movie Her, when he found out that actually his AI was talking to many, many other people. So those are things to consider, because as now we see like this kind of prompt markets where people exchange the prompts, they could in the future exchange different AI skills and AIs themselves. Then one interesting question is about whether AI is closer to the user or to the platform, because nowadays it's more to the platform because they are representing the touch points of the different services, and they're pretty much, let's say, all generic. We're going to talk about it later. But they are the same for different people mostly. Once we talk about this possibility of training, of exclusivity, they might get closer to the user. And then we'll have all the questions of like intimacy and privacy, for example, because if you want to really train it on your data, if you want to really connect well to it, you might need to have more intimate relations in terms of like what you're going to be sharing, or you want to prevent your privacy. For example, this nice provocative project which creates like this white noise blocker for the your assistant and prevents it from overhearing some conversations you don't want to share. And depending on that, on those choices, they become more generic or more personal. So for example, replica was supposed to become really personal, and we see that not always it might be a good outcome. Or some services which are basic can also have just generic AIs, and it's not needed to share that much information. And that would define whether they can follow, for example, just some basic values of efficiency, for example, as now the Google Maps is doing, just finding the best route. Or you could add also additional preferences. So maybe I don't want to do the best route, but just the route with the most beautiful views, or the best route for the biking, and so on. And eventually a huge question of convenience versus control in terms of really how much you want to delegate. If you want to delegate a lot and just sit back and relax, or you want to still keep the control. This is, of course, a huge question for the autonomous vehicles, which are not yet at the moment where you can really give them full control, but people don't understand that. And this is a very tricky point in which we're living now. So that's a list, and there are a lot of them. They're not final. I also, when I was reviewing the slides, I was thinking maybe I should change this, change that, but I will keep it also to other people to be able to elaborate later. I see some still taking pictures. Go for it. Okay, ready, next slide. Final question, how we're gonna design for that? Because there's a lot of changes. So if we see the system made of the like service, user, and AI in between, for example, Domino's and Alexa, as we saw before, there are two ways to see it. So on behalf of the user, like from their point of view, we can see it as a kind of enhanced service. So Domino's has given me a different touch point, and I can use it. So it's a more smart service. From the point of view of the service provider, in the future, when we talked about like possibility of having more personal, more trained, exclusive AIs, we might talk about the composite user. So this is a new kind of figure where it's a user made of different actors, not necessarily even just two, human and AI, but it can be different AIs, human and different AIs, and so on. So this brings a very interesting perspective, because I think we're going to be moving more from this perspective of enhanced services to composite user in the future. As yesterday, again, Mauro was talking about the AI being in the back office as it is now. I think in the future with the more like consumer-ready products and people also getting more empowered, let's say, and aware of the AIs, they will be able to also adjust them and bring them more to their own need. And this will really pose a lot of questions to us to how we design those things. So I think we're going to move from these new types of journeys, which are becoming more like blueprints, where AI is like in between us, like between the user and the service. And also the line of visibility will be like fluctuating there, because sometimes AI will do something visibly, sometimes invisibly, and going back and forth. And that's going to be new interesting journeys. Oops, sorry. To the composite archetypes. So eventually we need to think about our services being used by these compositions of AI and human. Think about like what's going to be really the performance, I don't know how to call it, like it's not the behavior, let's say, of these compositions, and how, of course, the human and AI actor are going to be interacting and working together. So yeah, that's a lot of the provocations today. Thanks a lot. Feel free to contact me and stay in touch. Thank you.